Hi, I'm John Fitzgerald and welcome to Custodian TV. Well, what a year 2011 been, and really probably signalling the end of the GFC, and in so many ways that came to pass in the month of October. Some big news in the month of October. Consumer sentiment up 6%. Now, I often said previously that the two things that really bogged Australia down in the GFC was one was banking and finance, and two was just consumer sentiment. And those two things turned around significantly in the month of October. And they turned around in two ways. Factually, consumer sentiment up 6%, but also in banking and finance, the banks, all the banks, reducing their 3-year fixed rate to now in the low 6%. And the second thing that they did was increase their loan value ratios and made it easier for people to lend money. And what transpired was we saw more first home buyers come into the market. In fact, the number of first home buyers in the month of October alone grew by nearly 30-40%. These are astonishing numbers and signal the start of a major turnaround. Obviously, overseas we saw the whole European community get together and decide we are going to make sure Europe floats and they're going to keep things going. And that was a positive sign, took a lot of the uncertainty away. But for me, hidden in the back pages, I should say the back pages of the financial news, was probably the most significant announcement in October. And that was the ICBC Bank from China announcing that they're going to open up 70 retail branches in Australia. Now, why is that significant? It's significant because the ICBC Bank of China is nearly 20 times bigger than all of our banks put together. They have over 270 million customers. And what that's doing is adding a whole new dimension of competition to banking and finance. And one of the reasons why our banks now are really going to be fighting for market share in retail lending, that is residential retail lending, throughout 2012-2013. And to cap it all off, in October, Australian jobs market grew by 10,000 jobs. So we created 20,000 new jobs in the month of September and 10,000 in the month of October. These are major turnarounds after what has become a tough year. Things to watch out for, well, they let their first set of contracts in Queensland post the rehabilitation of the floods, and there's over $283 million worth of work to be let in the next 3 months. And we've seen a major turnaround in confidence just in southeast Queensland, with now a scramble for people to be able to get employees. And there's so much job growth, and we've seen it on the ground with rental growth. Our absorption rates of rents have gone nearly doubled in most markets, and rents starting to grow. And we're seeing real growth in the bottom end of the market. And that's obviously driven by first home buyers, but also a significant shortage of stock. And this is going to be the biggest challenge we have in the second half of 2012, is the shortage of stock, and we're already seeing it on the ground. It's quite some time, factually, we had properties in Sydney. Now, some of the major developers have got no registered stock left on the ground and won't have till next March, April, May. And we at Custodian are down to less than a dozen properties in Sydney without any new registered stock coming on until the first, second quarter. Why is that? Because the market has really had a turnaround there in September and October, and there was very short stock supply. And this has also been forecast by Biz Shrapnel, who are saying this is going to happen certainly in Sydney and Brisbane and some areas of the market, Perth, other areas. We're seeing it take up, especially in the markets like Brisbane, albeit it's got some supply, but I'm forecasting that towards the end of 2012, that will be a challenge for the markets. Exciting times, and a real exciting time. And 2011 has been a time where I think we could say the market bottomed. Certainly the stock market reaching nearly 3,900 was a bottom, has now rebounded. And October, up until the 30th of October, recorded its best growth in the stock market ever since they've kept records. So a lot of things happening in the month of October, and we need to be aware of it. But for me, the big news was banking and finance and consumer sentiment, which factually changed. It's great to work with you on this journey. And journey of success is about repetition and relationships. And we did a client summit in Melbourne just recently in early November. And it was great to see just so many clients who've been with us on this journey for the last 10 years and we've built relationships with, and who've built relationships with us. And they have properties now in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, working the cycles of the market and continuing to grow their portfolios. That's what it is, repetition and relationships. Have a fantastic day. Cheers.